I'm going to talk like this.
I'll talk up here and you'll talk down here.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome back to Music Theater Soundlab. Now, you may or may not know this, but in addition to serving up videos that let you in on the process of musical theater writing and audio production, I also still very much produce songs for writers other than myself. And so, without further ado, I am so excited to welcome our first featured guest to the Soundlab. A Soundlab success story, if you will. Friends, I am thrilled to introduce the witty, the talented, the organized Deb Poppel.
Where's she?
There she is, Deb Poppel. Hey, Deb.
Hey, Joanna.
Well, first of all, we met through the musical theater writing workshop in New York through BMI.
We did.
Yes. We've never had the joy of working together, though, until now.
That is quite true.
Yeah, I first met Deb in a stage management capacity, which is why I say very organized human being.
Aha.
And so, Deb, I got a few questions for you. So here's my, this is like Johnny Carson or somebody more now. Describe the way you see yourself as a writer and kind of where you see yourself in the industry.
Ooh, interesting question. I actually self-identify as a lyricist, and that's how I entered the BMI workshop, and that's kind of something I've done my whole life. I had an insurance career, and I was writing insurance songs for industry events and other silly things, so I've always kind of leaned into the lyrics. I joined the BMI workshop as a lyricist, but in the past few years I have brought in and started composing my own songs. So where I fall in the industry, I tend to really be strongest in writing individual song moments. I have a very short attention span, so I like writing short songs. So I like finding one idea and beating it to death in a song.
And according to BMI rules, a song should be about one thing anyway, right?
That's true, and sometimes I do sneak in a few other things. I think they're about one thing, potato.
You worked for John Hancock, right?
I did.
Represent
You
John
can see
Hancock.
them on my left bosom.
The bosom says John Hancock.
It does.
If you can't see. Okay, so that's cool. And I see that for you. I relate to that too, writing like little kind of short things that pack as much punch as you can. Do you think in large, extended ways as well? Or are you more of a small bite kind of writer?
I think I tend to be more a small bite kind of writer. I do find thematically sometimes things could be linked together. So I find that I can take a bunch of small ideas and find an overarching idea that makes it a more kind of satisfying overall arc.
Song cycle style?
Kind of song cycle style.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the scope of this project that we're doing here and where you see it living in terms of your own work.
I have written a lot of songs over the past few years, but they're not really done because they're not in a place where I can say to somebody, here, go find my song, sing my song, enjoy my song. So I want to take all of this disparate material and figure out a way to get them more finished. And that's where you come in. My vision is to kind of do an album. I know nobody actually makes a CD anymore. It might be all but the actual jewel case because I want to have program notes.
Deb is a big fan of liner notes, which I now know.
Love the liner notes.
There are certain things that we have talked about where the choices are made with the idea that this will go in the liner notes.
That is actually true, and perhaps that is not really the typical way that albums are made, but I am a big believer in that context is everything in life, and I believe good liner notes that contextualize why a song is what it is and why a particular person's singing it, I think it adds to the whole experience.
I think so too. And if there's any reason to make a record, liner notes is just as good as any other
Exactly.
reason. And so the first song that we worked on is called Soon. So can you tell us just like a little bit about the history and the meaning of the song?
Sure. So as I mentioned, I am a grandmother, which means that I am also a mother. Perhaps there's a way of doing one without the other, but I haven't found it. And during COVID, my son and his wife didn't believe in vaccinations. And I'm very close with my son. He's awesome. He's wonderful. But I was having a hard time, like, where do you put that information? Like, I was so sure vaccines were the right thing. I think I've actually moderated my position since then. But it made me start thinking, well, what do you do when, like, your adult kid and you aren't seeing eye to eye? And then I started thinking that your job as a parent is to teach your children to walk so that they can walk far away from you, or you give your children words so that they can use them against you. And it just felt like a song moment that what do you do when the roles are reversed? And my kid was quite comfortable with making his decision, and he was fine with me getting as many vaccines as I ever would want to have. But there was never a point where he said, Mom, you're right, I'm going to do this because you want me to do it. So it was me processing that moment into a song about how do you deal with your kids when they aren't exactly what you want them to be, even though they're wonderful and probably a lot smarter and better than you at a lot of things, and how you get to that moment of, wow, I have to rely on him now to give me the balance that initially when he was a baby I had to find for him.
So letting him kind of teach you back in a way.
Right. A lot of parenting is all about what do you do with the damn baby when it doesn't sleep, and how do you get your kid to do their homework. But if you're lucky and you get to be as old as I am, the vast majority of your parenting is parenting another adult. And how do you reframe that relationship where, yeah, I'm still the mommy and I could probably still pull rank sometimes on him, but there's no value in doing that. So it's sort of that whole process of going from parenting a baby to parenting an adult and still having that relationship that is the most important thing in the world to you.
Most of you that don't know Deb yet, this is actually a very sensitive song, which I was really surprised when you brought it to me, because everything I've heard of hers has been comedy, really funny comedy, but not like this. So I thought it was really interesting that you said, I've got this song. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I did a show in Boston a year ago called Snap, Crackle, Popple. And I had a lot of my comic shtick in there, and people all expected that. And they expected the poop jokes, and they were not disappointed. But my brothers who were in the audience afterwards were, oh my God, you made us cry. We didn't know you were sensitive, and they've known me my whole life. And again, I'm Jewish. It's the whole laughter through tears and tears through laughter are the best human emotions. So I think they're all closer than people think. And plus, the pandemic, I don't know if you noticed, but that kind of sucked. And that really made people reach into places emotionally that they maybe weren't used to living in. So that's where I found that song.
That is beautiful. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you.
It is.
But there will be poop jokes on this album.
That's good.
That's and that will be explicated in the liner notes, of course.
That's important to know. Do not leave if you were expecting poop jokes but didn't get any yet.
No, but I can do those offline if anybody wants poop jokes.
Poop jokes coming your way. So let's talk about the process that we had on this.
Sure.
So you sent me sheet music first, I believe, right?
Correct. And maybe a recording of me singing it.
I don't know if I heard it.
Maybe you just didn't listen.
Usually I do. Usually I import it into the session first so I can kind of get like a vibe on what the person intended. Because you can learn a lot from the way somebody else sings their own thing.
True. I don't remember what I sent you, but it was definitely the sheet music.
Yeah. And then you expressed what instruments you kind of thought about.
I sort of felt cello and celeste.
And so then I guess I sent you some sounds, some sound options.
Right. That was actually when I knew this was going to be a very fun process, because you offered me a few different piano sounds, and maybe it's a dog hearing thing. They all sounded the same to me. So that's when I knew automatically that you would be adding value that I could not do myself. So that was actually a fun part of the process.
That's great to know. Okay. So then we chose our sounds. You had some ideas about instrumentation. And then I don't know what I sent you. What did I send you? Like a piece of something? That's what I usually do.
I think you might have sent me an entire mix of the song with those instruments and your singing. And I think I think so. I think you tend to do that. You tend to send me things that you think are way far from final, and I tend to hear them as done. We're finished. This is awesome. Next song. So I think you sent me a whole mix of it, and that's the point at which I really knew, oh my God, this is so amazing. This is going to work so well, because I'm an alpha dog. I like having a lot of responsibility for my creative stuff. That's why I wanted to write music as well as lyrics, but I also know that I need some collaboration, and what you're adding is arrangement and technical, and in this case vocal, and another set of ears to say, is this harmony exactly right? Should we tweak this? So it's just exactly the right level of collaboration for me, and I'm just so excited to know where this whole thing takes us. So you mentioned that we're working on soon, and I think there's 2 others that we're kind of halfway done, and they're all very different songs. Every single one, I get that moment where you send the thing to me and I'm dancing around the house going, oh my God, I am such a genius. I did this amazing thing. It's so good. Oh yeah, Joanna did it too. But it gives me that moment. And when you create your own stuff, you don't get that moment of like delight and surprise. So it's a way to take like my brain and put it through this filter where all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So, and it's still mine. I mean, and that's a very fine line to make sure I feel like it's still my work and my ideas and my thoughts, but just elevated to a point where I thought these might be good songs, but until you hear someone else sing them or add some other instrumentation, you don't know. And this is just really fun.
Well, they're great songs, and like I've said that to you before, like the songs stand up on their own, which is why it makes it possible to do anything that I'm doing. But on top of that, I feel like I want you to hear your song reflected back to you in an elevated way. And if I'm doing that, I know that I'm honoring what your vision was. And I always ask you, like, is this what you meant? Like, is this what you saw for this? Mm-hmm. And if it's not, it doesn't really matter if I think it's cool, because sometimes it's like, well, that's not what I meant, and then I want to make sure that it's in line with what you meant. Anyway, so I find big satisfaction from your satisfaction, I should say. Yeah,
that's why it's working. So far, so good.
Well, it's working out. Well, just
one of us might end up dead soon, but who knows? More likely me. I'm old, but
wow, didn't see it going.
Sorry,
there.
I didn't mean to bring it down, but you can cut that out.
Dead. So the last song that I sent you, I wasn't sure how it was working, and then I showed it to Deb over Zoom. I said, "Can we kind of like virtually listen to this together, and you tell me what you think?" And she immediately got up and started shimmying her tatas around the room. So that was such a great.
Right. Not all songs call for a shimmy of the tatas. Many do. And many could be elevated with a mere tata shimmy. Yeah, all of a sudden you got the groove. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. It's all very self-aggrandizing and just loving on my own work. So
good.
What could be wrong with that?
You know what, though? I feel like we need to do that in this life. And when there's enough distance between you and your own project, I feel almost like there's enough detachment where you don't feel like you're just patting yourself on the back. It doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like, this is fun to listen to. This is so good. Oh, and I made this? Right? There's like a surprise to it.
The other thing that you haven't mentioned that you can do is that you can take these like little notions I have of, I think this instrument, and you find the sounds. That's something that kind of kept me from trying to take this music to the next level, because I knew that it required like a lot of different sounds, and I wasn't sure how to make that happen. And what you can do virtually is so cool.
Well, I love it too.
Yay.
Very satisfying to work that way. Yeah, and then bringing in people for sweetening or for really featured parts that maybe require somebody's natural hand at the instrument.
Sure.
But so much can be done before that.
Well, which is what we're doing right now on the latest one the Tata Shimmy tune.
Yeah.
Also requires klezmer, clarinet, and violin, because what else goes with a nice Tata Shimmy than a klezmer clarinet?
Exactly.
I always say. So this was a place where you, and I agreed, think that having an actual live person will add another level of authenticity and just joy to the music that the canned sound maybe didn't quite get, even though this canned sound is really good. But I'm excited about this one. It's going to be the title track.
Yes, me too. So let's play a little piece of Soon. Let's play a little piece so people can hear what the song sounds like.
If we must, we must.
Here it is.
This is not a Tata shaker, though.
First steps, careful baby, balance is tricky, I know. Hold on to my hands, kid, I won't let you fall, and soon, 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 off you'll go.
So has there been anything that surprised you about the way that we worked or the process of all this? Good or bad?
I think it's been easier and more fun than I thought it would be. I thought there would be like extra steps between you and me, because I just hand you something and you hand me something back that, as I said, I feel is almost finished. So it's been less work for me than I thought it would be, which is awesome, because I like to lie on the couch and watch TV all day, really is my ambition in life. So I can feel like my work is happening and I haven't had to do a damn thing. So it's awesome.
Deb always says to me, I am a very lazy person, which I find to be ridiculous because look how much work. How many songs did you say that you had? Something like 40 something songs that you just are like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But I still feel like my proclivities are to be lazy because I'm old. I'm entitled to be lazy. And I actually, this is getting off topic, but I think laziness is a good quality to have because it forces creativity and you don't spin wheels doing things that are unnecessary. You might not do some things that actually would have been a good idea, but you don't waste a lot of time.
That's probably true. And for me, on my end, what you are perceiving as your personal laziness is really a bit of creative freedom for me.
Again, this is really good. I had an intuition that maybe this would be good. And remember, our first conversation was just me asking your opinion on how I could take some of my music and get it more final. And then it turned into us having this collaboration. So it kind of happened organically, but it's one of the smartest things I've done in the past year is get you to help me with this.
Oh, thank you, Deb. Thank you for saying such nice things.
I speak the truth.
Well, let's see. Any other questions to good old Deb here? What do you have coming up the pike?
You can
Anything?
edit out that old part.
Good young Deb.
Oh, that's
what
gross.
So, dear, wonderful, organized Deb, what do you have coming up the pike? Anything?
Well, to keep pushing this forward, anybody who's watching, who I know, who's a good singer and wants to possibly sing one of my tunes, hit us up. And if there's something you're right for, I'm looking to cast the best person on each song.
Where can people stay abreast of this as it continues to develop?
Once I have enough finished product, I will probably have a debpoppel.com because I believe it's out there available for the taking. Even though my sister-in-law's name is Deb Poppel, she does not have a website.
Oh, you said sister-in-law. In my head, I heard sister, and I
Right.
thought, really?
Yes, all of the children in my family are named Deb. So it made it just easy to have hand-me-downs. Like all the monogram clothing could just be passed on from one to the other, and the name was all automatically right on there.
Efficient, if nothing else.
That is really not true, but it was
It's like
lazy.
It's lazy, and it's a lateral version of a junior.
Right, exactly.
Just they're all Deb.
Right.
So be sure to listen to the full version of Deb's first fully produced piece of work soon, available on Spotify and all major streaming platforms.
Correct. And Joanna's not saying that it'll be available soon. Actually, the title is soon. Spotify, I guess that's it. The whole
shebang.
The whole shebang. The whole mishpacha. All the Debs.
All the Debs.
And the mishpacha.
It's me, Deb.
This is Deb.
This is Deb. See ya.
Adios.
Yay, we did it, Deb. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk today. You're a doll and a mensch, and I'm happy to know you. If you liked what you saw or heard here, feel free to leave some love in the comments and or hit that subscribe button. Until next time.